The Mike and Tony Show is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
This is Pro Strongman Stan Carradine, and you're listening to Mike and Tony.
Episode 209, Pierce. I like that. It's like my birthday, February 9th.
Yeah.
0209.
209.
So, yeah, 209.
But it's not.
It was also the area code I grew up with, 209.
Oh, shit.
But they changed it. Who changes the freaking area code? You can't even say 209 like represent anymore.
What would they change it to?
559.
Oh.
I've never known that you could just change an area code like that. I've never heard of that before.
Well, I think what they actually did was split it into two.
Oh, okay.
So where I grew up became
Gotcha.
559, the other one kept 209.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Which is like the Stockton boys, like
Yeah.
Nate Diaz and all those guys.
Yeah.
How was your week? It's been a while. We had 2 weeks off or one?
1 week off.
1 week off.
Yeah,
okay.
you got sick. You
Yeah.
got the sickness.
Yeah, I pushed it too hard, bro. Staying up till 3 a.m, multiple nights in a week, and immune system says
You do it for the
screw
kids.
this.
You do it for
I
the
do it
kids.
for the kids. Yeah, I'm not gonna be here to do it for the kids if I don't get it together. But we have a very cool guest that we've tried to get on. I think this is the actually third time
yeah.
that we tried to get on. Yes. Thanks for being here, brother. Driving
Yes.
through insane snow. It's been
Yeah.
snowing like crazy the last
Yeah.
couple days.
That's what we were talking about before you got here. Like down where we live. Crazy.
Massive,
Up here?
massive snow.
Yeah, nothing up here, which is usually the opposite.
Yeah, we got like double, maybe triple what you got down here. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
it's
you're
wild.
close to where Pierce is at.
I'm out in Parker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Tyler Holt is with us today.
Yeah. Hybrid athlete,
Yes,
gym
sir.
owner, doer of all things.
Tried to be.
Yeah, we try to have interesting people on, just people doing cool shit in life, doing things out of the ordinary, following their dreams, whatever it is. You know,
Yeah.
we don't just have any Yahoo on this show, Mike Pierce.
There's no average Joes on here. Even though Joe, our really good friend, is mostly on here too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We definitely
average
have, we literally have an average show that we bring on the show.
But
as well.
hybrid athlete, man. What does hybrid athlete mean?
Yeah. So that kind of gets tossed around. There's a lot of people that hate that phrase because they think it's like just somebody who can run and lift, and then they just call that person an athlete. My definition of hybrid athlete is not just is being ready to do anything at any point in time. So I'm not entirely focused on one thing unless I have an event coming up, but I just want to be good at everything. I'm not putting my focus into being just good at one thing, right? So that makes me, which inherently makes me not the best at one single thing. But at any point in time, if you say, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, I can do absolutely anything on a drop of a dime. And so that to me is hybrid athlete, being able to just have a ready body to do whatever comes my way at any point in time.
That's awesome.
So if I need to go do a triathlon, I can go do a triathlon. And another thing of mine is being 8 weeks out from absolutely anything. So I just try to keep myself prepped year round to do whatever, because I do a lot of events, right?
Yeah,
I've done triple bypass, ultra marathons, triathlons,
Wow. Ultra marathons too. Wow.
Yeah. So I've done everything, but, and most of the stuff that I've gotten ready for is like within a span of 8 weeks. So my first triathlon got ready in 8 weeks. Marathon, I actually prepped for a marathon in 4 weeks, which I don't recommend. That was not a good idea. But the ultra marathon, these trail marathons, the triple bypass, everything I've really gotten ready for has been within 8 weeks. But just because I keep my body ready enough year round, so that I only need really 8 weeks to put just a little bit more focus into one specific thing to be ready for it. So hybrid athlete to me, just keeping myself in a position to just always be able to do whatever comes my way. I've got a lot of friends that do a ton of different things, and I get invited to do a bunch of different events, or for the gym, we come up with a bunch of different events. And so I just, it's important for me, coming from the bodybuilding background, that I was a basketball player growing up, switched to bodybuilding, really got away from being just an overall athletic person, which really bothered me after I was done with bodybuilding, and just kind of felt like the athleticism had gone away. So really just diving back into that, and that's what it is for me, is really just being able to do absolutely anything. I don't have to be the best. I don't have to have the best time. But I will complete.
I really like the idea too of just being 8 weeks out from anything.
Yeah.
It almost
Because
sounds like
that's not true
It
for
almost sounds
anybody.
like a UFC fighter, right?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause a lot of like boxers or UFC fighters, they're always like 8 weeks out.
Yeah,
Like,
they kind of got to just stay ready at all times, and then, hey, we got to fight here. How long do you need? Cool, 8 weeks.
Do you
6
train
weeks,
martial arts at
whatever.
all?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I never have. I would have loved to start, when I was younger. I think it's awesome. I love MMA. in boxing. I just have a huge respect for the sport of those and the conditioning of those guys and what they put their bodies through and everything. Huge respect for it. But no, I've never done anything.
Gotcha. Yeah. Speaking of MMA, JD got himself a Tacoma.
Oh, did he?
Like a cherry red one. I was like, yeah, where'd you get that idea?
Those new Tacomas are nice. I like those a lot.
Yeah.
Then the Tundras. Yeah.
And the new Tundras. Oh my God.
They look good. I love what they did with those.
Yeah.
Those
For
are,
sure.
but now they're like $100,000 if you want to get like
Dude,
the best one.
any truck SUV these days is like anything worth it is you're spending $80,000+ on it. It's crazy.
Insane. Bro.
It's nuts.
So I'm curious, can I ask you, how old are you?
33.
33. And you played high school basketball?
Yes. Basketball and track. Basketball my whole life. I ran track in high school, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Tony has a goal, by the way.
Okay.
Tony is almost 45,
Right.
but Tony wants the goal of dunking.
I am
basketball.
45, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Fully.
he wants to.
Fully 45.
He wants to be able to dunk a basketball.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I've never dunked in my entire life.
Okay.
And so.
Are you close?
I'm very close now. I'm nicking the rim still. I'm still nicking the rim. It's been cold. I haven't been out there as much. But it's better than I was before I was barely getting hold of the net.
Yeah.
So I got to lose weight, though. That's the thing. Because I feel like I always tell him if I attacked it when I was young and I weighed way, way less, I was probably like 175 or something.
Yep.
Bet you I could have done it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get
dude,
there.
hell of a goal. I love it. I love it, dude. I think I train a lot of my clients, any age group or whatever, and I still train them to be an athlete because I still think at 45 years old, you should still be able to I've got staples that I think any adult should be able to do. Run 3 miles, jump 24 inches onto a 24-inch box.
Okay.
Squat and deadlift their body weight and still be able to sprint. I still think every functional adult should be able to do any of those things. And if they can't, then obviously I train my clients to be able to do all those
things.
right?
Yeah.
And even going into the clients that I have that are, in their 70s or whatever, we're still jumping, we're still running.
Yeah.
And they might not be able to get onto a 24-inch box anymore, but we're still jumping.
Still jumping,
We're not getting rid of any of that athletic development and athletic performance.
Oh, dude, I love that. I love that approach.
So I love that is your goal. That's awesome.
Yeah, which a guy who's only really done like weights and stuff for years.
Yeah.
I've never done anything like it.
Yeah.
But I've been playing a lot more. I love it. I absolutely love basketball. I played growing up too, and then just got away from it and I haven't played in a very, very long time. I got into high school and I went from starting point guard to sitting on the bench. And I was like, this isn't going to work out. I'm going to study my math. Teach math one day.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're all basketball heads in this room because I was the same way.
Yeah,
I played basketball throughout high school.
Yeah.
And then,
You have a great story though that all of us wish we had that
Yeah.
you told a couple podcasts ago.
well, a couple of times during the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just my highlight of my high school career was doing a dunk mid game.
There you go.
And so it was like, bam! I told the story. I was like, I went for a finger roll, and I was like, I am up here.
Yeah. Put it in.
I was like, all right. I was like,
I
there
did
we
it.
go. Yeah.
I did it. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I got my very first dunk came my last game of my senior year. And it was like kind of off of like a rebound, and I was just up there, and I was like the exact same thing. I was like, huh.
It is when you're like, you don't go with the intention like, you're in your teens and you're just like laying it up. You're like, I'm just gonna put this in. You're like, oh,
All of a sudden you realize you can.
Yeah. Yep. And then you just do it. Yeah.
yeah,
Great feeling though.
It is a great feeling. Then and then again, like I said, like Tony and I have talked in the past. I was going to be an NBA athlete and this and
course,
that.
yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
like I'm tall, and then I was like, oh, I'm not actually that tall for NBA. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm point guard size.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's-
yeah.
And still a short point
and
guard.
still a short point guard,
Yeah.
and not. But I still tried it, and I did walk on for Regis, and I tore my ACL on my
Brutal.
walk on.
Brutal. And there it goes.
Yeah,
At the
and
actual
there it
walk
goes.
on? You like
My tryout, yeah.
Your tryout? I mean, yeah. Wow.
Killing it, stole it, and I just felt like my leg go.
That probably
And I was
happened.
like, oh, that's weird. That felt weird. And I laid it up, and I was like, that felt real weird. And I was like,
Something's
oh man,
not okay.
Yeah, that's not okay. And
Yeah.
I was like, that really hurts bad. Oh, now it really hurts. It's like-
Oh God. Damn, that sucks.
Brutal.
bro.
Absolutely brutal.
yeah, and it's still to this day, like it's like, and it was my left leg, and so I'm right-handed, and so it's my jumping leg,
Yep,
and
jump
so
off of it, yeah.
and still to this day, it's like a little like,
Yeah.
like I just don't do anything.
Dang. That probably happens a lot at like tryouts and things like that. People pushing extra hard.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. And you spend a lot of time obviously prepping for that, right? Coming out of high school, like, and you're like work, and then you go into that actual game time zone, and you're just pushing, obviously trying to show out and impress, and it's just one wrong thing.
Yeah, so easy for those things.
Which is crazy. Have you seen how many injuries are in the NFL this year?
Yes.
I mean, there's always a lot of injuries in the NFL, but this year is like
out of control.
All these big hitters are just Christian McCaffrey.
He's finally going to come back this week. Hopefully.
Yeah. But it's just really crazy. All these athletes, they spend so much time just destroying their body, and then they go into off season. Some of them take some time off and do their thing, but they don't take the time to
maintain,
regress, and go into just, hey, what's my movement pattern look like after this whole season? Things change throughout the whole season, right? So they don't take the time to digress and just go, okay, what does my movement pattern look like? What's my mobility? What's my functionality? And just step back and start from scratch all over again, and then develop going into the season.
Yeah. Well, that's how you see like on those longevity athletes like LeBron and like Kobe and stuff like that, who still continue on off season to do work and everything like that. And that's the problem with college to NBA is the take on of how much you're doing.
Yeah.
Because in a college, let's say you go all the way. You're going to go through the NCAA, March Madness, you're going all the way to the game. You're playing 30-plus games. That's it. And then all of a sudden, you're going to get drafted in the NBA. Now you're doing summer league.
Yep.
Now you're doing preseason.
Yep.
And now you're doing a full 82-game season.
Yep.
And so these kids, that are playing 1 year, right, aren't used to it. Their bodies are not used to it, and they get hurt. I mean, that's what happened to Chet Holmgren.
Yeah, that's exactly who I was going to bring
Porter
up. A lot of these
too,
guys they start the season, they get this little injury that puts them out the rest of the season or half the season, whatever. And I mean, they went from one piece of volume to a whole new piece of volume that's even more intense, and boom,
easily quadruple the volume, right? So like I said, 30 games you're playing in NCAA if you make it all the way through,
and you can't blame them, right? And if I'm going into my profession, I will just blame the training staff 100% on that, because they don't take the time to work their athletes into that, because the college athletes go straight from there, and they don't know any different. They're ready to go work. They have something to prove, right? They're trying to lock down that contract. They're trying to get their spot on the team. So they don't know any different. They're just like, yep, let's go, right? And a lot of them, super young kids, 19, 20, 21 years old, super able-bodied, right? We're still moving really good, and things don't hurt yet, but it just takes one wrong thing, and coaching staff, it seems like the training staff just don't take the time to develop and take a step back. How is our body moving? How do we get you to go into this transition, into this amount of volume healthy? And I'll go off on a rant about that. I just have such a huge problem with like these trainers that go train these professional teams. They get paid these ungodly amount of money, and they just not to fully blame them. There's probably like one or two of them for an entire team, so it's hard to manage everybody. But that structure needs to change for sure. Because NBA, NFL, you see it so often. They just come into the league and just get injured, and then
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, then it's like they get so injured so early, right? And they're making rookie money, which I mean, still for the regular person is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to get back into being the game, you're like you were saying, there's only so much capacity that the team trainer can do with you.
Yep.
But if you're hurt, you want to get back in, you want to do the right things to get the right movements. So you're going to have to, like these other players, get a personal trainer, get somebody to help you on the outside, when you're not at the team facilities and stuff like that. And these kids, already probably blasted all their money on a house, car or stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you change that structure? How does it change?
That's a good question. Go ahead.
It's been changing now a lot since the NIL, right? So these kids are making great money in college. You look at Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah,
he's making like $9 million a year and playing college. College ball, dude. Right?
Yep.
So it's like he's like, I'm not going to go in the draft last year. He's like, I'll keep on making my money. But they're making that money and they're getting ready to secure their futures. And beyond. So I think it's changed a little bit for those people that are high functioning athletes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the teams on the teams and on their training staff, and I think they need to hire a handful of trainers to handle the team, right? It can't be like 1 to 2 people per full roster. And I think there just needs to be a more established program. And I don't know the details on what all their programs are, obviously, but I do know that a lot more players are getting injured, and it comes from that. So, bringing on a more efficient training staff, more people to handle all the players. And again, it needs to start with movement patterns. It needs to start with mobility. It needs to start with how your body is feeling and moving, coming off of whatever you just did. And then it needs to be a progression from there, slowly increasing that volume, leading just into the season. That's how you mitigate injury with these athletes. If they go from going hard all season and then they go right into a more intense training because they're now off season and they can kind of push their body, that's where so many things go wrong with a lot of athletes.
I'm curious what your thoughts are, because you do so many different things and you're always training in different ways. I'm far from being an expert. We are not doctors, as it says on the back of my shirt. But I like right now, like playing basketball, and then sometimes feeling like I want to lift heavy. Are there ways to put those things together, or is it more like just in people's heads that you can't put those two things together?
I think it's both. I think a lot of people get that preconceived notion that once you hit 30, your body just kind of starts to suck. And it just does not have to be that way. Like I'm 33. I'm doing more than I've ever done in my entire life, even in my 20s.
Shape of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. The most athletic, the strongest. Even I'm stronger, like compound lift wise. I'm stronger than I was in my bodybuilding days. And I'm more functional. My mobility is better. And I'm able to, when I was bodybuilding, if you asked me to go run 3 miles, it was not happening, right? And I'm 33 and I don't plan on slowing down at all. I just feel really good. And I know people doing this in their 40s and in their 50s. I got a good buddy who still runs 100-mile races and he's in his 60s, so there's that preconceived notion that once you hit 30, like your body just starts to suck is just not a thing. But a lot of people get that in their head, and life happens. We have kids, we get jobs, we do all the things, and we just allow our health to kind of slip away with that.
And specifically, I kind of mean like the combination. Like people say stuff like that, like you don't want to be lifting heavy weights and putting on, bulking and putting on a bunch of weight if you're also trying to slam dunk a basketball and be good on the court. Is that like, how do you approach stuff like that? And it probably has a lot to do with mobility.
A lot of it has to do with mobility. A lot of it is kind of seasons of life, right? And what are we focused on at any one point in time? Are we focused on throwing on a bunch of lean muscle mass? Right? That doesn't mean we can't dunk. But if you're trying to put on a bunch of muscle mass and you're also prepping to run an ultra marathon, not that we can't put on muscle, but now, okay, how much extra food do we have to eat to still be in a surplus, right? So all things can happen. There's just a lot of things that need to be sacrificed from one thing in order to get to another. And it just depends on kind of trying to find a balance of that. But, for us, I got my first dunk my senior year of basketball. But then it wasn't until I stopped playing basketball, hit the weight room hard, and I was still like playing basketball here and there. But once I just started really hitting the weights, and especially like, squatting, getting into the bodybuilding and everything, and then my dunking was like unstoppable. Wow. When I would just go play pickup basketball. It was just, awesome. It was just like, it was just
that's
effortless.
The thing,
and I was like, where the fuck was this when I was last year? And so, but I think there's a major, type of training involved, like you wanting to dunk, right? We should be hitting the weights hard. We should be pushing for strength, and we should be pushing for power and explosiveness and speed development so that those muscles can do what they need to do in order to explode and get you to be able to dunk. So I think for your goal, we should be hitting the weights hard.
Part of it.
Because that's like, you can go just try to jump all day, but if you're not creating a new stimulus for the muscle in order to produce more power, then how do we get to that next level for your jumping, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You need to remember those when we were like in high school and stuff like that? You need to get those jump soles.
With the big platform.
You're going to dunk tomorrow if you buy these shoes.
Just keep you on your toes.
There's ones on Insta all the time that they're trying to sell. Clearly, they listen to me. They know I'm trying to dunk. But they like the ones they show them like flipping them. Yeah, the insoles, you put them in your shoe. You're like, now I can dunk. Like,
no, that's not going to
be. Come on.
Yep. The carbon fiber insole.
My wife makes fun of me. I've ordered stuff from Instagram like twice. Which the average person hopefully is 0. Like, don't order from Instagram. Like, you find things and it always takes like 9 months to get here.
Yeah.
And then you finally get it and you're like, this is a piece of shit.
It usually is.
Yeah.
I bought a pair of shoes off Instagram not too long ago. And dude, they were like, I think they were either 18 or like $24 or whatever, but they looked kind of cool. And I was like, I'll I'll order them. I was like, worst case scenario, they were $18 or bucks or whatever they were, so whatever. But they're like not bad. I wear them just like around. I will never do anything athletic in those because they're fucking terrible for that. I will never try anything athletic in them. But for me, just like walking around the gym all day with my clients, they're perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a solid Instagram buy.
Hey, look
Well,
at
that's
you.
what I was telling Dollar over here is that I'm a sneakerhead. You know, I had Jordans and everything like that. And I was telling him recently, I was like, took the little one to go shoe shopping and stuff like that. And I saw these shoes called Hey Dudes.
Yeah, I have a pair of those.
Dude, for real, they are
Yeah.
comfortable as fuck.
Oh yeah, super comfortable.
Like I put them on. I was like, what the hell?
Those are my
is
house
this?
shoes. Yeah, I've been walking around the house and
My wife makes fun of you because I say the house shoes.
yeah.
I was like, these are house
Oh,
shoes. She
yeah.
goes, what are house shoes? I'm like, just walking around.
Shoes you wear in the house. You don't have to wear them outside, but they keep your feet covered in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, super comfortable. You have to give me some of those.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about them. Says they're,
Hey, dudes.
they're
Yeah.
super comfortable.
Yeah, super comfortable.
I think they
love
got
'em.
bought by Crocs.
Oh, did they?
recently? I think something like that. Yeah.
Crocs on
Good for them.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Snaps that up quick.
Yeah. They're like, oh, people are wearing theirs for house shoes instead of Crocs now.
Yeah. Like, dang it.
We got to buy you out. No,
So I'm kind of curious, like right now, what do things look like for you? Like how many times a week do you work out? What does nutrition look like?
yeah. So right now, my first, so I have a High Rocks event in 2 weeks. Are you familiar with High Rocks at all?
Mm-mm.
High Rocks is like a fitness race. So it's it's usually inside like a big arena type thing or coliseum, whatever, convention center. So it's a 0.6 mile run around. They usually have like an indoor track-ish thing that they make.
Okay.
So it's 0.6 miles, and then there's 8 different exercises that you have to do while running the 0.6 miles in between each one. So you run the 0.6 miles to start
Wow.
with, and then you go into 1,000-meter ski erg, and then you go run, and then you go into a sled push, which I think is 300 and something pound sled push for 50 meters. Then you go run, and then you do a sled pull, which I think is like 230 or 240 pounds, 50 meters, and you go run. Then you have 1,000 meters on the rower, and then you go run, and then you have
Holy shit.
80 meters of burpee broad jumps, which are absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Broad jumps. What's the broad jump?
So you
part?
go down to a burpee, and then you jump as far as you can
Yeah.
forward. So you got to go, I think it's 80 meters on that. Then you go run, and then there's 100 meters of walk and lunges run, some amount of meters of farmer carry run, and then you finish with 100 wall balls at a 10-foot target. And then you run up to the finish line and do that. So that's in 2 weeks. I got that in 2 weeks. Which
That's
like
after tomorrow.
yeah, which is like
Tuesday.
they're super fun. I do. You can do them as like a single person, or you can do them with doubles. Either like you can do it with a guy, or I do it with my fiance. We do mixed doubles, so it's me and my
Nice.
fiance that do this. We did our first one, I think back in April, and we just had a blast with it. Like we didn't take it too seriously to try to be the best at it or
Just
whatever.
have fun.
But we just want to try it, and we had a blast doing it together. So we're doing it again with a big group in Dallas in 2 weeks. So I don't put too much pressure on myself to prep for that. But my regular training split right now, I've got an upper body strength day, 2 upper body strength days, 1 lower body strength day, and then I have a power and plyometric based day, which is my favorite day. That day is a lot of fun. It's just a lot of explosive movements, a lot of jumping, a lot of all that kind of stuff. And then running wise right now, my first big event next year is the Royal Gorge 50K. So it's 31 miles, I believe.
Damn.
On the Royal Gorge trail run. So running program for that kind of just started a couple weeks ago. So running 4 days a week right now. Couple of those zone 2, longer zone 2 run on the weekends, and then regular zone 2 run during the week, and then a speed run and some threshold work. The speed run I try to keep like sprinting. That's where I keep like my sprinting in and everything. So that's what that looks like right now. As the volume for that running ramps up towards the event, I always keep the strength days in, and I might adjust the lifting days just depending on how my body's feeling from all the running volume. My lower body days I'll stick to like just heavy. I won't do any volume. It's just because my legs are doing a lot of volume on the running. So my lifting days for legs will just be heavy lifts, heavy deadlifts, split squats, whatever. I like to do a lot of single leg things to just keep everything balanced. But so I'll keep my big compound lift, which is either like a box squat or a deadlift, and then the rest of it will be all single leg work. Just maintaining, a good amount of weight, keeping things heavy. I just want to try to, maintain as much muscle mass in my legs as possible and not wear them out with any kind of volume on my lifting for all that kind of stuff. So everything is just kind of ever changing, just depending on where I am volume wise with whatever event I have coming up. But that's what the training program looks like right now.
Hell yeah. Dude. That programming sounds so specific for you.
I watched Tony over there write down, and then after you really kept on going, he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop." He was like,
"No, I just wanted to split. I just got the days." Like
he was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
So what is food wise then? Are you you count macros, or you just kind of?
Macro counter. I've been a big just macro counter since my bodybuilding days. I always competed on just counting macros and everything. Well, not always, but I just think lifestyle wise, that's just the easiest thing to do. And it's just been proven that you can just count macros and you get the exact same results as if you weren't counting macros. So it for me, just helps maintain the flexibility for my, full day at work for me with like 9 to 11 clients a day, right? I'm a man of convenience nowadays. So a lot of my nutrition comes from liquids. I do big shake in the morning, shakes during the day, smoothies, whatever. And then I usually have a meal for dinner. But I'm at about 3,500 calories currently a day. 250 grams of protein. And I keep those two as staples. And then I kind of let carbs and fats kind of be
interchangeable.
Yeah, just depending on how the day goes or whatever. Back in my bodybuilding days, I would not miss a beat on my macros, and now I'm just definitely much more flexible with like where certain things are at. But calorie count and protein are definitely like just entirely what I focus on, and the rest of it can kind of just be whatever.
Damn.
Yeah.
And I still track that. I still use like MyFitnessPal, and I'll just plan everything for the week.
I need to get rid of MyFitnessPal, dude.
Why?
Because they did that whole thing. Like they went through a phase. Like I used to use MyFitnessPal all the time. And then they got rid of on the free version, they got rid of the scanning feature.
Oh, yep.
And then you had to pay for it.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm not paying for that. It angers me. And so I'm like, I'm not make me do that. And then now I pay Chronometer.
Oh, yeah. See,
that's why I use Chronometer.
I pay for FitnessPal just because, again, I'm a man of convenience. And like that whole thing, I'm like, I'll just pay for it, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I use the Chronometer.
Yeah.
And it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's, it's scanning and then like, and I feel like it's a lot more foods on that one than the MyFitnessPal and stuff like that. Because I'll enter some Costco stuff in. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, like sweet, because not all the Costco stuff has all the nutrition.
It's true. Even if you scan it on the FitnessPal, sometimes they just don't pop up still. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I got mad too for a while, and then I went back, but I actually
I
re-downloaded it and then paid for it. I was like,
Yeah, because we're now in a subscription world, right?
Yeah,
so
everything, man. Everything's subscription based. Everything.
Yeah.
So you sound like the way you were describing your foods. You sound like a jacked Slim Fast commercial. You're like, I eat a shake in the morning, a shake for lunch, and a sensible dinner.
I know. I know. I mean, a strong. Like I would say, probably 60 to 70% of my food is consumed via liquid throughout the day, just because like I don't have time to sit down and eat during the day.
And then the voices of our my really good friend Jose, he was a bodybuilder too. He was Mr. Universe back in 2018.
Oh yeah.
And he always says protein's protein, bro. Protein's protein.
Yeah. Tried and true. Study after study has proven it. Yeah. So I try to just make it super simple for me now. But
how long did you compete with bodybuilding?
3 years. 3 years. Got my pro card in 2013. And then stopped.
What got you interested in that in the first place? Was that something
I was super skinny. So I graduated high school 6'1", 130 pounds, 140 pounds. And
damn.
Yeah. So
we're like, close to the same height. That's insane.
Hey, dude, it's super, super skinny, but I was fast and I could shoot the ball and I could do all this shit in the air. You
were the professor.
You were the professor. Yeah, right. So but no, I wasn't playing basketball anymore, and always just had huge confidence issues and with how my body looked and everything. And so I just wanted to get big. Had no intention of getting into bodybuilding, but I hired a trainer and started putting some size on. And he was like, "You ever think about competing?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Well, we're gonna get you ready for a show." And I was like, "Okay." And so that's kind of just how it started. And did my first show, did pretty well. tried to go straight into a national show after that, got my ass handed to me. It was still too small. And so took some time off to just build. And then ended up having a shoulder surgery in 2013 and then recovered from that, put some size on, went back to the next show, got my pro card from there. And then I think in my head, I planned on still competing, but then I got more into fitness modeling where I actually got paid to do stuff instead of having to pay to go on stage.
Right.
And I was like, well, if I just have to stay looking like this at all times, then I'll just go do where the money is.
Yeah.
And so I just got into that and just kind of left the
Yeah, you got a cool look, bro. When he walked in, I told my wife, I was like, I think we have a Viking on.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so you did fitness modeling too then?
Yeah.
Wow. Is that pretty decent money?
Depending on, I mean, for me at the time, I was in college and doing all this kind of stuff, and it was money was money, right? So,
right.
But I got to travel a lot of different places for free. I got just introduced to a lot of cool people, did a lot of cool things, calendar shoots, all that kind of stuff. And so I just for that period of time, it was great experience. Got to travel, got to do all these things, and it was a good time. Yeah.
I think that's how it starts too. Like with a lot of bodybuilders, is the body dysmorphia.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just like, oh, I don't look that great. And then all of a sudden, because that was Jose, that was Fran.
Yep.
He was like, I was always athletic. He's like, but
and everyone laughed when he said he was going to do it. Remember?
Yeah, everyone laughed he was going to do it, and he did it on his own. He didn't have a trainer or anything at first. And he won his first show.
Yeah.
Which was crazy because the way he did it, he had no idea what he was doing.
He was like, bro, I was eating
himself.
He was like, I was eating rice and tilapia every day. Like
that was my first show was tilapia and asparagus going into that show, and that's just cold tilapia, warm tilapia, didn't fucking matter.
It's so funny because he did the same thing. So he's on a cover of a romance novel.
I've been on one of those too.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
I have his mug. Remember? Yeah. He had a mug. There was a mug made, and so I have a mug. Out of that. Yeah.
I tried to put one up here in the cabinet. My wife was like, "No, we know him."
Just looking at Jose's nipples.
Oh, that's funny. So you've done a lot of different things.
Man. A ton of different things. Yeah.
Gotcha. What's the future look like? What is the next 5, maybe 10 years? Where do you see yourself?
As far as what I'm doing with myself or
anything? Yeah. Overall.
Yeah. I have really found a lot of enjoyment on so last year I did this, the ultra that we did was in Joshua Tree, and it was a completely unsanctioned, it was not a sanctioned race. So it was just a group of us that were just going to do the Joshua Tree Traverse. And a buddy of mine was doing the whole thing out and back, which is 80 something miles. Jesus. And he had asked me if I want to go do the back half with him. And I was like, sure. Ended up being super fun. We were only in the daylight for probably maybe 3 or 4 hours. The rest of it was at night.
Running at night.
Which was it was such a fun experience for me though. You couldn't see anything other than what your headlamp was showing you at the time, and you were just so focused and just out of almost like an out of body experience where you just had nothing else to worry about other than where your next step was. So 40 miles I hadn't run anything other than just a marathon before that. So, adding an intense amount of volume to and that.
Did you train? You trained and stuff for that?
I didn't train for that. At the time I was training for a half marathon trail run that we were doing as the gym. And then he had asked if we wanted to hop into that, and I was like, yeah, sure. I wasn't too sure about it at first, but just kind of in this phase right now where I'm I just want to say yes to all the things and just create experiences for myself and see what my body can do. And so that was what essentially led me to do that. And it was just really fun. So, but I want more just kind of experiences like that. The sanctioned races are fun. The races you sign up for and you go do the thing, which is cool. But being able to just go pick something like that where you're like, hey, this is fucking hard. Anyone want to do this? And then you just kind of go do it. That for me I want to do more of that.
That's the future.
Yeah. And, I own a gym, so I have to always kind of just be in a good spot mentally, physically, and that just really helps me do it. I got into a funk with the bodybuilding stuff, and I just got into a rut with that, and I just didn't want to do that anymore, and I just felt myself just kind of going through motions in the gym, and I was like, what's going to bring that spark back to me? And I decided to do a triathlon with a couple of my clients, and that the endurance work is actually kind of what brought that back to me. It brought that athleticism back to me, and just an entirely different challenge than like.
Sure.
I look at the bodybuilding now, and I'm not saying bodybuilding is easy by any means, but mentally, when your body's breaking down from something on an endurance event, it doesn't even compare to how easy like bodybuilding was for me. And again, not saying bodybuilding was easy by any means, because it's not. It takes a ton of dedication and a ton of work. But running through a desert for 10 hours on your feet and all that and just the mental fortitude it takes to accomplish something like that just really struck me.
What were your feet like at the end, by the way?
So I was good up until the last 5 miles.
Oh no.
And the last 5 miles, just the pain just started radiating from my feet and just up into my leg. And I was running that with two buddies of mine. And, both of them had done kind of ultras. This was my first ultra. Both of them had done ultras before. And, so we were all running together, and when we got done, they were like, yeah, like 5 miles left. Tyler just got dead silent. And I was like, yeah, I just
fighting demons.
I just needed to go somewhere for a little bit. Yeah. So,
what's interesting about those runs too, those long runs like that, especially at night, is people talk about them like they're psychedelic experiences.
It's that's what I'm saying. It was kind of like out of body, like just and it's kind of hard to explain, but that they were like, well, you didn't get to see the desert. You were just running at night. And I was like, that was the best part, was me running at night. Like, it was so cool. It was just a really cool experience. And, we heard like coyotes off in it felt like they were right next to us. And we were like, don't look over this way.
Don't look.
They don't see you.
You see some eyes looking back at you, right? So just keep going forward. But no, it was just a really good experience. And I just love doing stuff like that. And for me to continue to just be an athlete, and I love jumping. Jumping's like one of my favorite things to do. Broad jumps, box jumps, whatever. So I just, athletic wise, I just want to continue to build on that. And it's a goal for me now to show people that, like, into your 30s, into your 40s, that none of that has to stop.
Yeah.
Because so many people think it does, right? And
right.
and it is one of those things when you're in your 30s and your 40s. If you end up for a year not doing anything,
sure,
that's a game changer.
That's
right?
what I've noticed getting older, is that it's just when you let yourself go, it's a lot harder.
Yeah,
to get back.
Yeah, best to just not stop.
True.
even if it's bare minimum, right? Just do something.
Yeah, don't fall completely off.
Yeah, for sure. And then the gym. We've had the gym since 2014, and we're looking at expansion again. So I just want to continue to build just a place that people love to come to and can.
Where are you guys at?
We're out in Centennial.
Right behind the Broncos.
Yeah, right next to the Broncos
what's the
training
name of
facility. 212 Performance Gym.
Let me tell you, Dollar. Like, I got there like a year ago, I think, this month. A year ago this month.
Flies by.
And so I'd always seen them like on the map, like 212, but at the time I was working at 24 part-time, remember? And so I was like, I got free membership at 24. And I'm not going to go anywhere else and this and that. And like, then I stopped, working at 24 because, I was working like 8 hours a week, 2 days, like after work, 4 hours, just to get that free membership.
Yeah.
And then just 24 went through the bankruptcy, lowered their prices, more kids. And it's just like, I can't get on anything because kids are taking pictures and hanging out with each other and this and that. And I was like, I need to go to a different gym. And so that's when I found 212, because they actually are through my insurance too.
Yeah.
Into the
Active and Fit.
Active and Fit. And so I went to them, and dude, life changing. Their gym is nice. Like, I've always said that, like, every single time. It's like a great facility. They have everything there. They even have strongman stuff there. So if you want to do some Atlas lifting, those are the Atlas balls.
Wow.
Yeah, we got some big boys of those too. Those
That's
sit there most of the time. Those do never get touched, but we got them
just in case. God, those got to be expensive, right?
We actually did. I have no. They are. If you go buy them, we had a strongman gym that kind of went out of business up the street from us and asked if they could come and bring some of their stuff over to us.
Awesome.
And then another gym opened. Most of them went to go back to the other strongman gym, but a couple stayed, and that was like some of the equipment they just kept. They were like, "Can we just keep it here?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Now, and
Absolutely.
do you train clients too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm that's
you have a
what
client.
Most of the day. Yeah, I've
That's what
got
you're saying, like
I've
9
got
to
anywhere
11,
between like 8 and 10, 11 clients a day,
And
Monday through Friday.
What are your clients like? Are they like average people just trying to get in shape? Are they higher end athletes?
Most of them are just kind of your middle-aged people that are, just trying to be better. I do have athletes, but and most of them, is kind of, which is exactly, I love adult performance. I love getting adults to get back to that athletic foundation.
Yeah.
And be like, wow, I never thought I would be able to do any of this ever again. That to me is super fulfilling, right? Getting people to, in the past, I've gotten people ready for bodybuilding shows, and getting people to lose weight and all that kind of stuff is great. But getting people to be able to run and jump and do all these things that they never thought they'd be able to do again is like the most fulfilling to me.
See them realize the capabilities of the body are still there.
100%, right?
Yeah.
And as much as people like the aesthetics of losing weight or building muscle or whatever is one thing, and that helps people a lot. But there's no better reaction when like somebody walks up to a 24-inch box jump, after not being able to do it, and we build up, and they go and they just nail it, and like just the excitement on people's face when they realize that their body is still capable of doing all these things, especially for middle-aged people that have kids, and now they can hang with their kids, play basketball with their kids, wrestle their kids, do all this kind of stuff. Like it's super important to their life.
Yeah.
And that to me is the most life changing. And so that's usually what I do. And actually part of the expansion that we're going to do is create adult performance classes. Classes is one thing we don't do at the gym just because we really don't have the space for it. So with our expansion, creating more spaces so that we can start doing adult performance classes, because people like classes, right? Not everybody can afford the personal training or wants to do the personal training, but classes are another thing. So creating an adult performance class, where again we just get adults just moving like their bodies, but bodies weren't built to sit at a desk all day and all that, right? That's not what we're made to do. So getting people back to the foundation of what they're capable of and developing that, and that's part of our expansion goal.
Damn, I love that. I love that because I feel like the fitness industry right now is so saturated with aesthetic approaches and like things. It's all about what you look like and stuff. And this is a totally different thing. This is about like well-being and your physical body, being healthier.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I said, the aesthetic thing is always something that people are going to want, right? Sure. Everybody has an idea of what they want to look like and all that kind of stuff. So that will never go away. But the funny thing is a lot of these people that people look at, like the Olympic sprinters, right? A lot of people look at their bodies and they're like, wow, that guy's jacked and shredded. He can jump really high. It's because they do the athletic stuff. Sure. Right? So like
and they're sculpting
a lot of
body.
people, a lot of what people want, which is to burn body fat and build lean muscle mass, will occur if you're just doing this, if you're jumping, if you're running, if you're sprinting, if you're lifting fast, if you're lifting heavy. That's just a recipe. It's just a recipe for that. So, but a lot of people think they have to go into the whole bodybuilding realm, and everybody wants to look like Chris Bumstead, which is not a bad thing to look like, but whole different thing, right? If we put Chris Bumstead into a marathon or ultra marathon or something like that, like
lasting.
Well, let's see how you perform on that kind of stuff. And that was me. That was me when I was bodybuilding. Looked great, shredded to the bone, right? Ton of muscle mass or whatever. It looked phenomenal, but was in the worst shape of my life.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
I couldn't do a fucking thing other than get on the Stairmaster and do like 30 minutes of a Zone 2 Stairmaster, right? So, and that bothered me. That really bothered me. And actually, it was one time, what really got me one time, this was in the middle of my bodybuilding. I had some friends that asked me to go play basketball. And I hadn't played in a long time. And so I got out there, started warming up, and we get into the game, and I like go into a full sprint down court, and I just pull my hamstring.
Oh, that's what I was getting at. That's the stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I was like, and then, that whole thing. And then down the road, I was in the gym and I went to go dunk and pulled an adductor again. And I was just like, I was like, I can't do these things that I love to do, and I got away from it, and that's what bothered me the most, and that's kind of what led me
and I think that's
away.
a lot of us guys are kind of in that position too, where you want to be able to go play some basketball and dunk and stuff, but you also want to be jacked.
Yeah, you want to be jacked, right? We want a little bit of everything, but I think a lot of the compound lifts, the lifting heavy, and then combining them with power and explosive and speed work and all that kind of stuff, that it just builds that.
That's where it's at. Yeah.
And so I just I want to get people back to that.
I used to always tease Fran all the time when he was doing his bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because he did it for a long time. Like I said, he was Mr. Universe in 2018. And when he was doing that, he always talked about how he would get down to 3% body fat.
Yeah.
He goes, bro, he goes, your libido's down. He goes, you do all this and that. He goes, he's like, sex don't appeal to you no more, all this stuff. And I was joking around with him because, he's doing the romance novel cover and everything like that. Remember I told him that? I was like, you all show no go, bro.
Yep. Yeah. And that happens. I mean, competing is like one of the most unhealthy things you can do for your body, right?
It fucked him up bad
unhealthy.
because he did it for so long, right?
Yeah,
He was natural. He was a natural bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Did it for so long. His testosterone now is shit.
Tanked. Yeah.
It's shit. And so now he's on TRT, and he talks about that too.
Yeah.
He's
And
on TRT now, and he's on replacement. But like at one point in time, because we used to work together, we worked together for like 10 years, and he was like always tired. He'd be at his computer like this, and he'd just be like, I'm like, bro, wake up. I was like, come on, man. And so finally he went to go get it tested, and he comes back. He goes, bro, guess how much my testosterone is? I was like, 5. I was like, well, you're crying right now. So I was like, so I don't know. He's like, so he gave me the paper and I looked at it. I was like, 97. I was like, let me look at this up. I was like, oh,
wow,
you have the same testosterone as a 19-year-old girl.
Yes.
And he was like, oh man, oh man. So now he's on it and he's like, getting big again.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I've been on hormone replacement therapy since I was 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacks you up, man.
Yep. I also I messed around with some steroids and stuff when I was younger and everything. So that just completely tanks you. So I set myself up for failure.
And that's long term then. So then that's why you stay on the TRT.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened to Stan. Remember? So we had the guy that the drop one for this episode. Stan Carradine. He had messed around with steroids and he got jacked up one day, went to the hospital, and like it was a big old scare and stuff like that, and his mom, remember, they told the story, his mom yelled at him and he's like don't ever do that again, and then he's like, okay, I will never do that again.
And I don't know if you guys pay too much attention to the bodybuilding world, but the amount of young guys in their 20s and 30s that are competing in the bodybuilding that are doing really well are having heart attacks or strokes and dying
by 40
before 40 in their 30s, man, and some in their late 20s, and it's just that, and it's and a lot of, when you're in that, a lot of people get it kind of like, I know a guy, come do this and do this much, and they don't get their levels checked, they don't do blood work, they don't do all this kind of stuff.
The blood work,
that's where it all goes wrong.
And so that's Fran. He legit, he has a doctor and he does his blood work and all the time. His blood was getting so thick that he had to start donating.
Yeah, I have to do that.
What do you mean his blood was getting thick? Like,
so when you start to do the hormone therapy and everything, and you inject the testosterone, your hematocrit and your hemoglobin numbers they just go up with your testosterone levels as well, which is like the thickness of your blood. Right. And if that's how the strokes and all that kind of stuff and the heart attacks happen. It's because your blood thickens so much. And a lot of those guys don't get that checked out and don't go dump blood and all that kind of stuff. So I have to do that. I do that 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah. So he's the same way.
Yep. So it's you make decisions at the time based, because you just want to look a certain way, not giving a shit about what's going to happen to you long term.
Yeah.
And then you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
That's wild. It's so prevalent now.
Yeah.
So many people.
It was so funny. So when he did, I was curious too, because he was telling me all the symptoms. Like, I got low T. He's like, I'm tired all the time. I was like, I get tired sometimes. And I was like, he goes, it's like, I can't lift as much as I want to. I was like, I don't know if I have lifting problems. And he goes, bro, you should probably get your levels checked too. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get my levels checked.
Yeah.
And I went to go get my levels checked. And I came back and I was all,
you didn't want to tell him.
I don't know if you want to see my...
Yeah, I want to tell him. Because at the time, he was like, real sensitive about it. He's 97. And he was like, what's your levels, man? I was like, that's 707, dude. He was like, what? I was like, my doctor says I'm like towards the high end of my age.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And he was like, man.
Wow. Poor dude. But he's okay now. He's on it. So it's,
he's okay now. He's on. He does it regularly
Yep.
and stuff like that. He does the injections because there's also the pellet form and the cream form. There's also a topical
cream that you like rub onto.
Yeah, it's like a topical.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of different options now.
Yeah.
For sure.
I should get mine checked. I haven't had mine checked.
It's always good to just get it checked, man. Just to know.
For sure. So like when I do my physical, I just tell them. Say, hey,
you for like the hormone panel, they typically won't like just automatically test for that. So you'd have to ask for that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so like my doctor, I asked for it like during my physical, and he put it into like part of my physical, so it didn't cost like extra.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we're just checking it.
Yep.
And I was like, sweet.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Cool.
That's the way to do it for sure. Get it covered.
That's exactly. That's the key. That's why I'm asking. I'm like, I have to pay like an extra thing.
No, just tell him like during your physical and say, hey, can you check this as part of my physical?
At 45, right? That's reasonable.
Yeah.
That's
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Probably should have had it checked already.
I think people, what's kind of funny is they're like even people in their 20s now, and I think a lot of this goes back to just us as a country and how we do our food and just Again, I can go into a tangent on that, but even kids in their 20s going in, getting a check, and their levels being at the the range for testosterone is like 250 to 800 something. It's a massive range, but seeing more and more young people just at the lower end of that because we're sedentary, we eat like shit, our food is made like shit.
Chemicals, preservatives,
plastics, and
all this kind of stuff, and
food.
we're just a lazier group of people in this country now, and all that plays into effect. And so, I mean, I tell even my kids in their 20s, like, just go get it checked, man. Even if you get it checked and you're good, fine. You probably don't have to do that for another couple of years, but like it doesn't hurt to just know where everything is at. And something else might be off too. It might not just be your testosterone, right? Like there's a lot of other things that get checked that might be off. So it's always a good idea.
I always wonder about that. I'm like, when I do a physical, and they always go, everything's looking good. And you're like, but what did you check?
What is good? What is good?
But what is good? Yeah, I just have a big problem with that. I'm like, you guys tell me to breathe in now, and you put a little thing on my back and tell me to breathe. And you're like, that sounds good. You're good to go. And I'm like, but what did you actually? What did you check? Yeah. What are you looking for? I don't understand how you think the entirety of my health is good based off of how I breathed in one time.
There's a way to listen. You can hear every organ in your body.
It's just right.
And you're good if I'll just go collect my insurance check.
Hold on, breathe one more time. Yeah, you're good.
Yep, you're good. So it's the same thing. And so I haven't went and got like an actual physical from a doctor, and I can't even tell you.
You just go
because I just think I just go get the blood work done because that tells me way more than anything about what's going on than that whole thing. So
well, my doctor that I have, he is like he has an athletic background too. And so, which is really awesome because, like, when I was choosing like your doctor and everything like that, I like research. I do my research. I like Google them and stuff. I'm like, and I was like, oh, he has athletic background, yes. And so that's what
mine too. Actually.
I looked at him too, and I was like, he just showed me all this stuff. And when he did the testosterone thing, that's when he's like, I don't think we need to test you. Like he was like looking at me, he's like, I don't think we need to test you. I think you're fine. He goes, but if you want to, we can test it.
You're like, run the test.
Yeah. I was like, test.
I feel like you have to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Yeah. Sometimes with the doctors, you're like, can you just check for it?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. Just do it. Yeah. But having a doctor that has like an athletic background definitely helps because the amount of doctors that try to preach about health but look like they don't know a thing about health.
So ironic,
it's so obnoxious, man. And the healthcare, I have such a problem with the healthcare system. They just drive me nuts. But
the whole medical thing is so complicated, and I think it has to do with incentive, right? It's how doctors are incentivized.
Yep.
Everything's about making money, selling pharmaceuticals.
The prescription, all that kind
everything.
of stuff.
Like you get a bill from the doctor, you get a bill from the hospital, you get it
right.
They're not charged all the same. You're like, what happened? When did this happen? I thought back in the day it was just like you went to the doctor, they pay the insurance.
Right.
But now you go to the doctor and you got to pay the insurance to the doctor, you got to pay the insurance to the hospital, then you got to pay the separate prescription.
Yeah.
You're like, geez, what happened? Just everything is itemized.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so out of control. I don't know how we fix the shit though.
I have no idea.
It's so
I don't get
paid. You get people training like athletes. That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
There we go. Hybrid.
That's how you do it.
Hybrid
Everybody needs to do all the things.
No, I was going to say one of my favorite things on that had me dying is they obviously have an Instagram account, and so does Tyler, but his gym account had me dying one time. They did like this little like reel about their gym, and one of the things that they were joking apart was Tyler being the hybrid athlete, and he was like, he's like, next I'm gonna, what did you say? I'm gonna like,
I said tightrope walk across
with
the
a unicorn,
Arctic Ocean with a penguin over my head or something.
Got to change it up, bro. Change it up.
Got to be ready for whatever.
But yeah, no doubt. You know what you should ask him?
Oh, of course.
The question,
the island question.
So we ask this for every guest that's brand new on the show.
Okay.
You're on a tropical island. You have everything you need to survive. You're going to live a long, healthy life. But on your way to your tropical island, crashed, whatever. You have a way to play music Okay, but you only have one album with you. What is
What's
that one
the album? What is the said album? Oh, dude.
And we always give people time to think because it's not something that usually, every once in a while, somebody will just spout something
Right away,
off immediately.
Yeah, but Tony's was.
Bob Marley, Catch a Fire, 1973.
Yeah.
And then
I used to have that in a truck that just ran on repeat full time.
And then mine was I'm Earth, Wind, and Fire, Gratitude, which was also 1973.
Okay.
We always influence everybody. We're like, you got to pick an old ass album.
You go back to the classics. I immediately jumped to I think I'd be good with like a Michael Jackson album.
Oh, we've had a couple of those.
I would also be good with like a Bob Marley album because it's all tropical anyway, right? You're on an island, you got to match the vibe. You know what other thing I would do though is like one of my favorite albums of all time is Confessions by Usher.
Okay,
that's like one of the only albums that I have ever liked every single song on.
Yeah. It's a great album, actually.
It's a great album. So like, my mind immediately jumped to that, but I'm like, I don't know if I can listen to him singing about that shit while I'm stuck on an island the whole day.
Yeah.
Talking about let it burn, and I'm just sitting on an island. No
with
one's here.
Wilson, hanging out.
So I think I'd have to do something a little more upbeat. But yeah, my mind goes to like a Michael Jackson album. I don't know which one, but
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
We've had a couple Michael Jackson ones before.
Yeah, I think your brother Dom was Thriller. I think that's
Thriller,
what it
okay.
was,
Thrillers, yeah,
one of the greatest. That's funny you say that's one of my. If it's not her favorite, that's probably my wife's like top 2-3 albums of all time.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good album.
It's phenomenal.
I think Confessions. You ever get listen to little Confessions, Mike?
Yeah.
Are you confessing?
You just don't bring your lady to one of his shows.
Yeah.
He will
Big problems.
serenade them on
problems.
stage. Yeah. No, she's gone.
She's for the streets now.
She belongs to
She's for the streets now. She no longer belongs to me.
Yep.
That is too funny. Yeah, that's the thing that happens. Usher, to me, I've said this on the podcast before. I always thought he was really tall, dude.
Oh no,
I literally thought he was like 6'3", probably 6'4", something crazy.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who I saw him standing next to, like Hemsworth or something like that. And I was like, "What?"
I've never seen a tall ass dude dance good. No.
That's true. That's really
Shaq.
true.
Shaq can.
Shaq's got some moves. Some big old moves.
Machine Gun Kelly, does he dance? He's a pretty tall dude. It's a joke. I'm like,
I was like, I don't know. I've never seen it. Yeah.
I can imagine how awkward it would look, though.
Right.
I mean, how tall is Chris Brown? Chris Brown's like 6.
I think he's decently tall. He dances.
Yeah,
He's
he's
a good dancer. He's a great performer.
Yeah.
Despite his personal life thing.
Yeah.
Performing wise, he's
all the stuff happening right now.
Yeah.
My God, it just keeps getting worse.
I know. I'm like, man, just you thought you recovered from the whole
Rihanna
situation, and then now all this. I'm like,
bruh.
You make it hard to support you, man.
Yeah.
Reminds me like John Jones.
Well, that's what we've always talked about too, like separating the artist from the person.
Which is Michael Jackson, dude. You have to separate those two.
No, you don't have to.
Well, you don't.
It
have
was
to.
alleged,
but
never convicted.
That's true.
Never convicted.
That's true, and we'll never know.
Don't get me started.
We'll never know.
No, I'm with you too. There's a lot of weird stuff. Well, is it literally true they reopened his case now? Right?
Who?
Michael Jackson, his whole how he died.
Oh, did it? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, my kids were telling me, and I was like, "Well, come on, was this something you saw on TikTok?" And then my daughter did a quick Google and was like, "No, it looks like it's legit," but I haven't looked into it myself. But they're saying with all this stuff coming out with the Diddy things that they're actually reopening it.
That's a
crazy
a lot of stuff like the Matthew Perry they reopened, and then they convicted
right.
people of fucking murder for that one. Because,
yeah.
I was like,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah, the Diddy situation's wild.
Oh my God, crazy, bro.
I watched the video. It was like it's like imagine you being a police officer, and your day is that day to go do this Diddy raid.
Oh no!
He goes, you get to the house, and your fucking job is to count 777 dildos.
All shapes and sizes and colors.
It was like, that's your job, bro. It's like you
have to describe all of them.
Yeah. It's like you have to inventory them.
Yeah.
You have to do all this stuff. I was like, he goes, that's a shitty job.
You go home and your wife asks, how'd your day go? And you're like, we're not going to talk about it.
Pour me a drink. Yeah, that's so crazy. It's like this underbelly that nobody really saw. Like the average person in America didn't see. And now we're just like, the hole just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
And then people that like people who wrote off other people like Cat Williams.
Yeah.
Like he's like you go back and watch his old interviews.
Oh,
and stuff
he's
like
like,
that.
I told y'all this.
I've been talking about this for years. Y'all canceled me and whatever.
Yeah.
I know, it's really true. I just watched a video of this guy who he's like a human lie detector, kind of like he studies humans telling the truth and like what kind of things you can look for. And he was analyzing that video when he was on with Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
When he was basically making all those crazy allegations, breaking them down. And then he would cut to the people defending it or saying, that's not true or whatever. And then was like reading their behaviors. And it really, according to that dude, it really seems like Cat Williams was just telling the truth.
Yeah.
He wasn't showing any signs because he breaks down like what you would expect to see. And you never know for sure if somebody's lying, but you can see certain behaviors and things. And he's like, this dude seems like he's telling the truth.
Dude, that fucking interview with Shannon Sharp was killing me because like he was talking when they were talking about golf, had that shit cracking me. He's like, what would you hitting for the blues? He goes, no, I'll be hitting from the lady tees. He goes, in golf, I am he, she, they, them. He was all
Yeah, he's so
part
funny.
cracked me up. I was
He's
like,
hilarious, man.
But he has been saying it for a long time.
Yeah.
And they've definitely been after him. You remember that one period? It was like 2 years or something. He got arrested like 36 times with no charges, not charged a single time. Like they were just harassing
that
the shit.
video of like the little kid
kid,
beating him up.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that one. That's rough. That's a rough one.
That's a rough one.
That's
As a
right. You
grown
can't.
man.
You gotta live that one down for the rest of your life. That's rough.
Yeah, that was legit too.
Yeah.
He like got into a scrap with a
But
young
he's
kid.
the size of said
Of a
14.
child.
That's true. That's all fair, man. Like, what do you expect?
They looked at him like fair game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, Cat Williams, he's one of the few. You know, some of the people that just seem outside of it but knew about it is like 50 Cent, right? Ice Cube.
50 Cent had said things,
Yeah.
you know, long ago
Eminem.
or whatever. Like, he doesn't mess with all them. Yeah.
Yeah.
If only they had listened to him.
Now, but what I want to know is going on though is that are they really just taking this guy and all this stuff down, or are there other people in the industry taking him down that are doing the same shit? You know what I mean? That always seems to be the case.
Yeah.
It just seems to be like you're like we're all watching like, oh, I can't believe Diddy did all this. You're like, dude, this whole industry clearly has got all
Full of
kinds
people,
of stuff
right?
going on.
Yeah. And he had,
believe?
you know, he didn't do all of it by himself, you know?
Oh
So,
no.
Yeah, for sure you can.
All the stuff about what? Like,
That's what's so appalling is like how everybody was just agreed to everything. Like people were doing this stuff, and now they're talking about there was all these situations where people were, you know, held at gunpoint.
yeah.
Fuck, bro. I'm so glad music didn't work out for me.
He'd be at a Diddy party.
Yeah, the Diddy party. Seems like perfect time, Pierce. What do you say? You want to
Hit
hit up
those
those
fun facts. All right. So, in light, like I said, the fun facts. We have Veterans Day coming up. So, again, thank you to all the men and women that have served or are currently serving. Appreciate all that. I have family that has been in the military, so it's a big spot for me.
Same.
But yeah, so there's some veteran fun facts in there. Veterans Day. Lou Ferrigno's birthday is today, so I put a little bit of Lou Ferrigno.
So some of the bodybuilding ones, yeah.
Fun facts in there too. But this one, the first one, was every time you shuffle a deck of cards, chances are that they're a new order that has never existed before.
That's math.
Kind of
right?
blows your mind.
Yeah.
It was when you think about that and you think of how many decks of cards are shuffled in just Vegas alone.
Yeah, right?
And you mean to tell me that none of those are the same?
It's wild.
Yeah, that's really crazy. That's the power of math,
That's
buddy.
mind blowing. Yeah.
Probability right
Absolutely.
there. So this one, I'm probably going to say this wrong, but I thought this was crazy. The Turritopsis doornhi, also known as the immortal jellyfish, can potentially live forever. When it's injured or old, it can revert into its juvenile form and start its life cycle all over again. This process is called transdifferentiation.
Do they ever choose just not to?
Right?
They're like, you know what?
I'm living this life, bro.
I'm done. This place
time,
sucks. I'm out of here.
It's like a vampire in Twilight. Like, I'm tired of this. Man.
Yeah, I
Someone
don't
just
want to
kill
do
me.
this
Yeah.
again.
I've lost so many other jellyfish. Yeah, that's wild.
Also, today was National Scrapple Day. I don't know if you guys know what Scrapple is, but
I've played Scrapple a time or two.
Scrapple is the food.
Oh,
Scrapple.
not the game?
No. Scrapple.
Scrabble.
Scrabble's the game.
Scrabble.
Scrabble. Scrapple can be traced back to pre-Roman Europe, and the dish was originally called Penhas, or Panhos, or Panhas in Germany. The name Scrapple is likely shortened version of the German phrase Pan Scrapple. which can be a combination of words of pan rabbit and a slice of. So scrapple is basically like pork, like processed pork, like Spanish. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing had me puzzled. That's a lot of crazy words in that one.
A lot. And then there's rabbit in there, and then a slice of rabbit. And that's what I got out of that.
What do you see on there, Tyler? Any?
Oh, let's see. Oh, there was one down here.
Yeah.
Oh, just because. So the average person has 4 to 6 dreams per night. I swear on everything that I do not dream.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Like either I don't dream or I can't remember a dream to save my life. But so like that has always like, I'm like, well, what happens? Why can't I remember anything?
Do you smoke weed by chance?
No, I never have.
Every time somebody says this, I always ask.
No, I've literally never a day in my life smoked weed.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing I've heard is that like
if you smoke a lot of weed,
you don't have as many dreams. Right?
Yeah, no, I never have. So like, I don't know what happens to me when I sleep, but
do you get into REM sleep? You were a whoop.
Yeah, REM sleep, deep sleep. Yeah, I'm all.
Oh, so if you're getting REM, then you're dreaming. It's just a matter of recall.
I just can't remember anything ever.
Yeah, how weird. But it is true. Like how many of our dreams we actually remember is probably a super small percentage.
Right. Usually, like you might remember just one out of the night or whatever. Right.
Yeah, and not even. And I don't even remember one every night. Like some nights I remember it.
I still remember. Like I have one that I specifically remember because my logical brain defunct it during the dream. And it was like I've told this on the podcast.
You did like lucid dreaming and shit.
Remember I talked on the podcast one time. I was in a pool. And all of a sudden, this fucking shark started like swimming at me. And I'm like, oh shit! I'm swimming away. And then I was like, what the fuck is a shark doing in a pool? And I like turned around and looked.
Wait a second.
And the shark was like, oh man, poof, like disappeared. I was like, my logical ass brain. I remember that.
I win.
Specifically
I win.
Yeah, I was like,
I mean, that's kind of like lucid dreaming, right? That's the
You
idea.
have
where
like somewhat of a control.
you
over it.
get some control while you're in the dream. You just made the shark disappear. Holy shit!
Okay, here we go. Lou Ferrigno. It's his birthday today. Lou Ferrigno was the tallest professional bodybuilder in the 1970s at 6'5". He won Mr. America title in 1970 and Mr. Universe title twice in 1973 and again later. He trained with Arnold Schwarzenegger and appeared with him in the 1976 documentary Pumping Iron.
Great documentary.
Great. Have you ever watched Pumping Iron?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, such a classic. You got to watch that one.
Let's check it out.
Lou Ferrigno trained with his dad all the time.
Yeah. All right.
So this gives me an idea of the vastness of space, bro. Even traveling at the speed of light, it would take 25,000 years to reach the center of our galaxy.
That's stupid.
Traveling at the speed of light.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
My question is, how do we know where the exact center of that is? Like
That's a
if
good
that
question,
takes 25,000 years,
Sure.
I mean, that obviously you just have people that like, do their math stuff and draw it on a diagram. But how do we know what the center is?
Well, we do know that the center is a black hole. So that even puts it more into question. Like, what's the center of a black hole?
Oh,
Right.
That's true, yeah.
Space blows my mind. It
really does.
I'll get into like some deep thoughts on like just what space is, and I'm like,
And then you're just like, okay, I'm done thinking. I'm done.
oh god, shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, who needs psychedelic drugs?
Right.
Just fucking study space.
Just think about space.
Here we go. Veterans Day was originally called Armistice Day. The name was changed in 1954 to honor veterans from all wars in times of peace. Another one here, honey.
That's the one I was just looking at.
Honey is one of the few foods that can last forever. Archaeologists have found pots of honey in ancient Egypt tubes that are over 3,000 years old and are still perfectly edible. The secret is in natural preservatives and low moisture content.
There's some food corporations looking into that right now. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's also antibacterial too.
So
Honey.
but like honey bottles at the store put an expiration date on it, so they're just liars.
They're adding preservatives.
Maybe.
I try to get a little honey.
Maybe.
I get local honey because it helps with my allergies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife used to tell me that.
Honey's like one of those foods that like they're just like the benefits of it are just completely endless in what it does for you. It's good.
When I do my protein pancakes, I like to put honey instead of syrup.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's the move.
For sure.
Speaking of hallucinogens, nutmeg is a hallucinogen. The spice contains myristicin, I guess, probably not saying that right, a natural compound that has mind-altering effects if ingested in large doses. It's crazy how many things do have those sorts of effects.
Bruh, do you want to go to fucking King Supers and get some nutmeg? Bruh. We're going to have a
need a
nutmeg
lot.
party. Get a nutmeg party, dude. I know, right? You'd have to ingest so much probably to get that feeling.
Yeah, tremendous amounts.
Yeah.
Just drinking a big ol' nutmeg shake.
Nutmeg shake.
Is that enough? No. Give me the other bottle.
Oh my God. That's got to be so terrible tasting.
That's got to be
too, right?
terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. And then who like I have so many things in life where I'm like, who's the
figured
first
that out?
person
Right?
to figure that shit out? Because I'm like, you were bored, sir. Like I don't know how.
You were just sitting there looking into your pantry like,
Yeah.
I wonder what happens if I eat all this.
Sushi is one of those things for me. Like, who's the first person that like saw a fish and they were like, I could probably eat that raw.
Just eat it just like that.
Yeah, but not this
pretty good.
fish, not this fish, but this one.
Yeah,
I know, right? Can you imagine the generations of
or what happened was
experimentation?
there was a group of them, right?
Yeah.
And they all ate it, and then they're like,
And
"Oh
like,
shit!
That's not sushi.
Don't."
We
Frank's
can't
dead.
eat the blowfish. That
Frank's
one's not good.
Frank's dead. Don't
Yeah,
eat that one.
Or like like there's only like a handful of people that can cut the blowfish properly to
Yes.
eat that in the world. So then I'm like, it took how many people to figure
To
that out
figure
the
that,
wrong
right?
way?
Oh my god, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Dude,
How many people were referring
on
like,
a daily basis, there's things where I'm like, who was the first person to think of this dumb shit?
Well, yeah. Also, how many other choices do we have, guys? How good is this fucking fish?
Right, yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
only
I
a,
can't
it's
help
only
but
like a
feel
portion.
if you like tuna, just stick with the tuna. I don't know why we have to go try crazy
That's
things.
fine, yeah.
Right. And in that portion of the blowfish, it's only like a sliver that's like edible.
Yeah, soup. Yeah. So long time ago, I had a client of mine, and her, I think it was her boyfriend or whatever at the time, were like very sushi connoisseur people. They went to Seattle specifically to go to a sushi restaurant that the sushi chef was one of, I don't know, handful of certified people to cut the blowfish in the country.
Yeah.
And I believe she said for a piece, the sashimi, which is like the two pieces of sashimi, was $180 for just the two pieces. And she was like, we have to do it. And I was like, whoa, was it good? And she goes, it was all right. Like, at least you can say you tried it. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's like a big expectation when you're paying that kind of money.
Yeah,
It
for
needs to
sure.
blow
Like
your
I need to
mind.
blow my mind.
Like, what? Oh my God.
Anything is like, yeah, it's okay.
I need all the blowfish in the world.
Right.
Dude, this explains why cats are such assholes. They can't taste anything sweet. I don't know if that explains it.
Another thing, how do they know that?
I know.
How do you know a cat can't taste
I'm
that?
assuming they're looking at like receptors in the brain or something. I have no idea. That's a great question.
That's what I'm saying. Like on a daily basis, I find something where I'm like, how'd you find that out?
Yeah,
I need answers.
yeah.
So we're deep diving on this now. I remember we being at Costco one time and like there was milk bones, right? And it was saying like 50% tastier. And I was like, okay, how?
Explain that.
Number one, how do we know it's tastier? And number two, how do we know the percentage of how much tastier was it? Like,
Show
who
me the
is tasting
study
this?
you did.
Yeah, I was like, is the dog telling you this? Like, how is a dog?
Well, they bank on the
communicating
fact
this
that
to you?
most people aren't going to
50.
look up the study and
Yeah.
look at it and go,
You know,
okay,
or
this
like-
is-
they got
or
us
I got
fucked
into
up,
it. I'm
guys.
like,
They got us
there's a
messed up
dude.
'cause-
There's a dude there tasting these things, and it's like, this one's better than last
About
one.
50%.
50%
About
better.
50%.
just guesstimating.
Yeah,
it.
just like I've always thought about that too. Like, how do you think like 50% better?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who's like 55, 57?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You just got to know how they come up with those.
all right, this one here. You spend roughly 10% of your waking hours with your eyes closed from blinking.
Say that. What was the percentage?
50%?
10%.
10%. I thought you said
Okay.
50. I was
I
like,
heard
there's
50
no
as
way.
well.
No, 10%.
like,
you spend 10% of your waking hours with your eyes closed from blinking.
So on top of losing like a third of your life to sleep, and then you also lose an extra 10%.
Because you have to blink.
Because you have to
Because your
blink.
eyeballs don't want to get dried out.
Stupid body.
I'm missing so much.
Where's the one? I was looking at one a second ago. I really wanted to see. Oh yeah, this is an interesting idea. Hypnagogia, the state between being awake and asleep. I think on those nights when I'm up till 3, I experience a little of that the next day.
You're
I
like,
think I'm half asleep
you're like,
right
wait,
now.
what happened?
Yeah.
Like the dysania is the state of finding it hard to get out of bed in the morning. The fact that there's a phrase for that. Like, what do you, it's just
There's
cold out.
studies
I don't
on
want to
it.
get out of bed. It's cold.
Yeah, no, it's a word. It's a word for it.
No, there's a thing. There's a thing for everything.
If you stay up late, you're 50% more likely
Yeah.
to develop.
This one was wild. So the longest word in the English language is 189,819 letters long.
What?
It's a chemical name for the protein that is known as titin. And the first 61 letters are, I'm not going to read all that.
Yeah,
Saying this word would take about 3.5 hours to say it.
So again, we're going to go back to who thought that was a good idea or that it was necessary. Yeah.
So I was looking, I had to deep dive.
And then they're like, also, but you could just call it Titan.
Let's go with that.
But you know what? For short, let's knock it down to 6 letters. I don't know.
Yeah. And can you imagine that too? Like you're going through a study, you're putting out your case out there. Well, we found this protein called it's like the SpongeBob thing. 3 hours later, and he's like, and we found that it's combined of, and I deep dived it, 240 different protein synthesis. Like
Yeah.
and then like Tyler said, someone was just like, we just call it Titan.
Here's another question. So largest snowflake ever recorded was 15 inches wide and 18 inches thick. Was there enough time to measure a snowflake of such? Maybe because I guess if it's 8 inches thick, then it doesn't completely melt right away. But
that had to have hurt coming down.
1, 2. I mean, you get somebody's like that looks like a really giant snowflake.
Let me go get my measuring stick.
It's like, wait for it.
Yeah. And in the 1800s too, like, right? It's not a measuring tape, it's a stick.
How do you measure? They're like,
come on.
They're like, that's about 18 inches.
God, yeah,
that's like
so
when you measure things by hand, right? You're like this.
Yeah.
And it always
That's not gonna fit. It's not gonna fit, guys. I don't know.
It's 7 feet, bro. Like, wait, what's your arm span?
That's I put that one in there because I was going to say the same thing. Like,
yeah.
Who in the 1800s is like, no, yeah, that's how big it was. I swear.
I swear it was 8
inches
thick.
You just had to go by somebody's word then.
And there was just like one of those randomly. Like,
and I was thinking too, it was like, how? I was like, falling from the sky and it was 8 inches thick, like in that, like that's a heavy ass snowflake.
Yeah.
There was actually one bigger, and that guy tried to measure too, but he died.
Like, how did you know?
He died
when it landed on him.
That's what I was going to say. Like, who found this?
Hold on,
I was like, well, Frank found it, but Frank found it because it hit him in the head,
Frank.
Yeah.
and Jim was the one that recorded it.
Same with this one. There's more stars in the universe than grains of sand on Earth. No one's counted either one. We can't know that. We can't know that. Now, in the you could just assume because the universe is obviously much bigger than Earth itself, right? So that naturally that would just make sense. So, but how do you know?
Well, they can't decide if the universe is infinite or not.
Yeah.
If it's infinite,
Right.
then that's a
everything
no-brainer.
then everything loses.
And
right?
sand goes way deep into the like. You don't know that. You don't know that. You've never counted sand, man.
This is just one family, just generation after generation. We've been keeping a tally.
Yeah.
The sand is low today.
We estimate we're 0.00000000007% of the way done. Buying new things can make you want more new things. A
Yes,
phenomenon
that's a
called Diderot effect. After getting one item, you're more likely to feel that you need to align it with even more upgrades.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, the perfect example is a car, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You buy a car and you're like, oh, like for me, example.
I'm already looking
For
at
me.
tires, Pierce.
For me, right? I have a Jeep, and I'm like, oh, I got to get new tires. I got to get bigger tires.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get a bumper. Oh, I got to get all these extra lights.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to.
Do all of this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, doing all the things. I do it with Amazon too. As a teacher, I get stuff for my class. I'm like, if I got those good whiteboards, I'm gonna need some whiteboard markers.
Yeah.
Some more.
Well, and then Amazon gets you because they're like also recommended. With this item.
Yes.
You're like,
People-
you're right,
people who
Amazon.
buy
You're totally
this
right.
also
I do
buy
need
this.
all of those.
I
with
could
that.
see why they buy that. That goes really, really
That
good.
does
with
go
it.
well. Add it to the cart. Thank you.
Yes. You might need erasers. Damn it.
Okay, all right.
Why are you guys so good at your jobs?
Unbelievable. It's true though. We are consuming
So we talked about
culture.
World's Strongest Man earlier. The World's Strongest Man, as it was first called, well, World's Strongest Men, as it was called, originally developed in CBS in 1977. Lou Ferrigno placed 4th out of 8 people, but he did bend a metal bar over his head in the Bend a Bar event.
Over his head.
That's, again,
That's pretty. That's
this
It's a pretty crazy competition too. If he's 4th,
You think he tried that prior?
That's what I was saying. Like, again,
I know.
who's coming up with these
That's what I'm
things?
saying.
Like,
Dude, I'm saying that everything. Yeah, like I wonder if I could bend this over my skull.
God, that's terrifying. You don't want your skull to go, right?
Yeah.
well, that's the hardest part of your body is the top of the head.
Is that right?
Besides your femur, right? Your femur is
Yeah,
the strongest
yeah.
part of your
I
body.
didn't know that.
But like, yeah, the top of your head, like if
Right
like,
here?
yeah, somebody's gonna punch you, you have to bow your head down, and it'll most likely
Like
break
them
there.
dinosaurs with.
Is that right here though? Your forehead?
No, top of your head.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would be weak because like like when babies are developing and they have like the soft spot right there,
Yeah.
where they fuse or whatever. Once they fuse, they fucking
Turns
lock
out-
in.
Yeah,
They lock in.
it's locked in.
Then it's the strongest thing.
There were just a bunch of human sheep, just bam, just ramming into each other.
Baby rabbits are called kits. Aw,
Little kits.
cute as that.
Oh, see MJ here. Early 90s, Ferrigno put MJ through a fitness regimen. In 2009, the Hulk would again help the King of Pop, prepping him for a rigorous series of concerts in London, which never came to fruition due to the star's death. That's a shame.
Wow, that's
He got
crazy.
super fit just for. But like, what are you doing in your concerts that require you to train with Ferrigno and Hulk and the Hulk?
Yeah, when you first said it, when you
And
first
the
said
Hulk, but the
MJ, I was like, oh, Michael Jordan? That's interesting. Like, no, Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
the singer.
So like, what do you? I mean, he had all the money, so why not train
Michael
with him? But at the
Jackson's like,
same time, like, what are you getting ready to do?
I need you to just teach me how to bend that bar over my head.
I could see him like training for his shows, like all the
does a
dancing and
lot of
jumping around.
moving, yeah.
But
But why Lou Ferrigno?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like, what do you need to? What are you bodybuilding for? I just want to know what it was for. Somebody needs answers.
Michael
to this.
Jackson's doing deadlifts before he goes out.
like 500 pounds, just like out there.
Turns out he's way stronger than anybody would have guessed. Michael Jackson giving Lou Ferrigno a run for his money.
Hummingbirds are the only birds that can fly backwards.
I did know that.
The
before. I
unique
did know
structure allows them to hover, fly backwards, and even upside down.
Those animals are so
that. Upside
wild.
down is interesting. I've
It's
never seen
wild,
that.
right?
I want to see that happen.
Right?
Yeah.
I can see Tyler just training a hummingbird. Like, okay, almost.
Lure him.
There we go.
Lure
Come
him.
on. Yeah.
That is pretty crazy that they can do that, though. Just thinking
Yeah.
about the mechanics of it.
Because birds can obviously go upside down,
Mhm.
and then come, but they can't like stay there.
Yeah.
Right, because the whole mechanism would push them toward the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But their
The way
wings
that
go
they-
back and
Yeah.
forth the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Birds.
Where was the? Oh no, I lost it.
I was looking at the Romans believed that the vein in the fourth finger
Yeah.
on the left hand ran directly to the heart and was called the vena amorosus, vein of love. This is why it's the wedding finger.
Straight to your heart.
Straight to your heart.
Weird how we do so many things and we have no idea what the history is or like why.
Yeah.
I like the fact that in my whole life I never even questioned that. Like,
Right.
Why did we
Yeah,
put a
just-
ring on our
just
left?
goes on that
This-
finger. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just the way it is.
It's
the way
the
it
way
is.
it's been.
Don't ask
Since the dawn of-
questions.
Yeah. Don't ask questions how much sand there is here. Just know there's a lot of sand.
There's
Okay.
a whole lot of sand.
Not enough not more than the stars though. Just so you know.
We are getting kind of close to the end though here, Pierce. Got a few more minutes, but I just have to bring it up because we haven't done a podcast since the presidential election.
Yeah.
So did you said you stopped watching pretty early that night because you were like, yeah, it's pretty clear.
I did.
What's going on?
I did the same thing. We went to bed at like 9:30. That.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, well,
Yeah, it was pretty set in stone. it
Yeah.
seemed
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
were you surprised? What did you think was going to happen?
Nah, I was not surprised. Just because you
Same.
can't substitute somebody 3 months before an election and expect them
Yeah.
to beat somebody that did it already, number one.
Yeah.
And that has that many followers, number two. And again, this is the time frame. Just you can't.
I was
do
telling you, it was so wild to see was like all the different counties that voted for Barack Obama twice and then voted for Trump in this election.
it.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
That's really wild. And I told you before, I think it's the Democratic Party just dropped the ball in general.
Oh,
The
dude.
I
fact
agree.
that Biden was hanging in there for so long,
Yeah.
and then the last minute they switch it out and they switch it out to Kamala
That's what I
Harris.
said. And the fact that like he won the electoral vote, the popular vote, like and
Yeah,
registered like the
landslide.
Senate, all that. Like
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, if that doesn't tell you how everyone felt about the last 4 years, like
Yes.
it's just
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Well,
that-
and also too,
It's
like
just a
I
landslide.
had read something. I think I told you that there was a way less amount of Democrats that voted this year.
Yeah, you were telling me that. I didn't
compared
see
to
that
any
anywhere.
other
But
time,
yeah.
too. Yeah, so,
Interesting.
Yeah, they were just like, dang, no.
We're fucked.
yeah, they're like, well,
It's over. Yeah, it's really crazy to me. I don't know. I think that people really want a change. like you're saying. I think clearly people were not happy with the administration we have right now, but I think they just want something different. Everybody's awake now with the internet and everything. We're so awake to all this bullshit government that's really like, it's all just for show, and there's people making money, and there's corruption, and there's all this weird shit. People are just tired of it. They want something different. And where the Democrats failed was they looked like the same old shit. It just looked like the same old thing. And as crazy as of a person as Trump is, he looks like something different. And I think that was the difference in this election, was people were just like, either they didn't give a fuck, they're like, I'm out.
I also feel like he was much more
he wasn't
like he wasn't saying as much outlandish stuff as he was like, you know, when with the Biden election. People were like so sick of him and what he was saying and everything.
Crazy shit.
He's just wild, just off the chains.
That's
and
true.
I think he was like just much more
toned down.
Yeah, toned down. And I remember saying with him and Biden, had he just learned to shut his mouth, he probably would have won that election. But I think his mouth just got him in trouble, and people just couldn't stand him. And then, you know,
just kept on talking.
I think it seemed like he toned it down quite a bit this time. And
been some weird, crazy statements that came out from me being a teacher in public education. There was it Oklahoma? I think it's the governor of Oklahoma that came out and said, "Hey, everybody! Now that Trump's in office, we're just going to prepare for the elimination of the Department of Education." And he like breaks down like all these things that they're going to start doing, and you're just like, "Well, hold on."
I think that's
start till January, guy.
Well, but then I think people are just like, they really just assume the worst, and the people who are like, you know, worried about like their whites as a woman or part of the LGBT community, whatever. Mm-hmm. They're already worried about their rights, and I'm like, nothing has happened.
That's the thing that I'm noticing right now.
Yeah, I'm
like we're all way down the road.
Yeah, like nothing has happened.
He kind of said what he was going to do. Let's be honest. I was telling you that, Pierce. Like he was openly declared. He's like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the motherfuckers that try to put me in jail. I'm going to go after you. I'm going after you. Yeah. You're going to jail.
This is his revenge
he said
tour.
it really open.
Revenge tour. Yeah,
dude, he was so open about it.
I'm like, he's not worried about y'all. Like he's not. He's got an agenda on what he's trying to do. None of it is taking away your rights.
Well, that's like Fron when Fron is a big Trump supporter, he's big old MAGA, and I remember him talking to me about it. He's and he was like, yeah, but you know, Trump's going to do all this stuff and da da da. I was like, bro, let's get this straight. Like nothing that he's going to do is going to affect you. It's going to affect me. I was like, I'm not worried that he's in the White House because nothing he's going to do is going to affect me. He's not, he's not going to raise my taxes or any of that stuff or any of this and that. And like, it's just.
I think people give whoever wins far too much credit for their control over their life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Regardless, like the next day is going to be the same fucking thing for me, and the next day after that is going to be the same thing. But like, I wish people would just understand that like whatever is going on with like you have the opportunity to go make more money. You have the opportunity to go move wherever you want to move. You have all these things. And to like give one person that and just pretend like that person has complete control over your life has been mind-boggling to me. I'm like,
well, the one that always cracked me up the most was when Obama got in the office and everyone's like, "Oh, great! No, he's going to come take all of our guns." I'm like, "Yep, exactly." President Obama is going to come to every single house and be like, "Can I have your guns?
Would you mind?"
Yeah, like
day one he takes off. Is
Ah, shit! It's coming. Damn it!
Coming on my world tour here.
Yeah, like no, dude. You're not.
People just, I think they forget that there's so many checks and balance systems in place to make sure that like this one person can't just do absolutely whatever they want.
Yeah,
right? But like, people just forget that, and I'm like, despite like the fluctuation of gas prices and groceries and all that kind of stuff, my day-to-day life is really not going to change very much.
Exactly. That's what I say. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too that people fail to recognize is like this is always what happens. It just swings left,
absolutely.
Right, left,
goes
right.
back and forth.
Just over time,
people get sick of this, then they go this way. They get sick of that, they go the other way.
The other thing that was cracking me up this week was like everyone's like, Bitcoin is at the highest it's ever been. The stock market's up, gas is down. I was like, that's every election.
That's what happens.
That's what happens on every election. Just so you know, when somebody new comes in, it's boosting up everything.
Bitcoin did go. Do you guys have Bitcoin at all?
I don't.
Oh man,
that shit goes. I do. I have Ethereum.
Okay. Yeah, I have both of them.
Yeah.
I looked at Bitcoin. I was like, oh, good thing I kept all that.
Yeah.
So it went up or down?
Yeah, it's at the highest it's ever been. It's like at 76.
77. It got up to 77. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I was one of those early people that are like when it went. What was it? COVID. when it dipped down to like the 20s.
Like went way
I
back
was like,
down.
I gotta get rid of this. And I was like, I got rid of it. I was like, but I'm gonna keep my Ethereum.
Yeah.
Just in case. And then all of a sudden it's back up to 70. I'm like, shit. So I was like,
Damn, crazy world we're living in. Dude, Tyler, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for
I'd love
having me.
you to come
Appreciate
back
it.
and
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
hang out sometime.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime.
yeah. But also check out his socials. What Tyler
T Holt 21 underscore.
212 Performance Gym.
Yes.
Great gym. Check it out. It's online, all that stuff. And yeah. Got some guests coming up here. We get everybody in and coming up on 10 years, dollar.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. And with that, it is a wrap. Cheers.
Cheers.